Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to Synchronicity Web TV. I am your host, Nadiya Shah, and this is your moment of synchronicity. Well, look, who's back? It is the one and only Melissa Cynova. She doesn't really need any introduction. She's a best-selling author. She's been at Synchronicity University before, and she's back by popular demand because students wanted to learn even more from her. So previously, she taught based on her book, Kitchen Table Tarot. Now she's teaching kitchen table magic. Oh my God, yeah. This is so exciting. Welcome, Melissa. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. And my entire team passes on their love, admiration, and giant crush on you. So thank you for having us back. You guys and your whole team are just a delight to work with. So they're like, hey, Nadiya wants to. I'm like, okay. She didn't even ask what it was. I'm like, doesn't matter. Nadiya, okay, whatever she needs. So but I'm delighted that it's magic this time because I've been finding, I wrote the book Kitchen Table Magic. It started because I wanted to I'm a very patriotic person, which is why I get so angry when my country shows its ass. You know what I mean? So I'm very patriotic. And one of the things I love the most about our country is how many different cultures are here. And I wanted to write a book about American magic, stuff that came up from Africa, stuff that came from Cuba, stuff that came from, Polish stuff is in New York and Chicago, there's a lot of regional magic. And I couldn't do it because I would look up, where did tying a red string to a baby's furniture come from? Do you know? To keep away evil spirits. Have you heard this?
No, I haven't.
It came from Italy. It came from Italy, Poland, the UK, Wales, Ireland. It's done in some parts of Africa. It's done in some Native American tribes. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Well, how about salt? Egypt, precious throughout the Middle East and the Caribbean, Greece. And so I couldn't, because we're such a band of misfits in this country and such a band of it's an actual melting pot. All of our magical traditions have done the same. And it's just wonderful, because you can't identify Ozark, magic specifically from Appalachian magic or from, the African American diaspora magic that we have in the South. We are all same, you know what I mean? And that just gives me all goosebumps forever. So with trying to honor the specific roots of the magic, what I found was it's all inside of us. These magical traditions popped up all around the world individually, so this is a knowledge we all carry within us, and it's a gift that we all have. So I couldn't possibly teach regional magic because there's no such thing. There's an external expression of what we all hold inside of us. That's what magic is, and it's like clearing the way for us and using our intent and our focus and our intuition to make things happen. And that's all that it is. It's just a fancy way of praying, and I'm down with that. Anything that helps connect you with community or with whatever you see as God is a holy gift, is a sacred right. And I'm a fan, so it's a very the class is split up so that you can understand first that you are magical, and I ain't got shit to do with it. And then after that, how to channel that magic and how to use it properly, properly for you, I should say. So I try to cut out a lot of gatekeeping shit. So.
I know. I love that about you because you have 7 planets in Sag. I have 2 planets in Sag. And so we love each other. We connect on that level. And I love that part of us that is no, whoever you are, whatever you identify, you deserve your own relationship, your own conception of whether you want to call it magical energy or divine energy, creating whatever practices work for you. And I so passionately believe that. One of my books, actually, you might not know this, but one of my books, Prayers to the Sky, is astrological magic light. And so I found it really interesting, especially while researching the book, because you were talking about these different traditions from around the world. Every culture, even those who were never connected, have a conception of a goddess of love and how to pray to her and how to, petition her.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how we continue that into our present like in the West, largely monotheistic context, we still continue these practices of petitioning for love, petitioning for prosperity, or whatever the case may be.
And three of my dearest friends, I believe only one of them is like genetically Irish, and the other two are Black Americans. And the connections that they all three felt to Ireland were exactly the same.
Yeah.
And, there's something in our spirit that recognizes the God when it's in front of us, or he or she. And like, I got tagged by the Morrigan, which will be a part of the class, telling how I was floating in a pool, swearing heavily at every goddess I've ever lit a candle for, and say, where the fuck are you bitches? I am so sick. And then from behind me, I hear, child, I have been here the whole time. And everything went dark. And I went, oh shit. So that's that's my own experience, but I'm Native American. There's no Morrigan in my culture, not by that name. Baba Yaga is pretty close, in the Polish culture, because Morrigan she is the goddess of broken soldiers. And I've always considered myself a soldier a soldier of humanity. It's my little guy. And so the fact that she chose me, I literally turned to a page in a book my friend Courtney Weber wrote, and it said, she is the soldier, or the goddess of broken soldiers. And I just wept, because the words I used when I prayed were, no one will be here for the broken girl. No one is here. And then she came, right? But you don't have to have a patron god or goddess that you feel like, in order to feel magical. You don't have to have that divine thing. Your quest for magic and to understand how it works can be your divine thing. You don't have to be religious or spiritual. And you don't have to search your own history or whatever. I think, and I'm also going to be talking about the difference between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation, because it's a very different thing. Like, I've got a statue of Ganesh because I've always loved Lord Ganesha, and I love the story behind it. I am not Hindi in the least tiny bit, so I don't celebrate the festivals, and I don't do chanting. I'm not Hindi, so I don't act Hindi. But what I do is honor that statue by putting on my altar with the other blessed ones who are there. And I think that that's an appreciation for the culture without taking it and trying it on for size and seeing if it looks cute for the summer festival.
Right, exactly. I mean, I always think of appropriation as wearing a culture as a costume. And that is one thing, but it's another thing, appreciation. And I mean, I think about the example of musicians, right? Musicians will have this appreciation of global music, and they'll often incorporate different types of styles. And it can actually be quite beautiful and reflective of our universal connection. You mentioned Ireland, and I want to say I am a person who, I have not done a DNA test, but I'm quite sure there's no Irish in there. But I feel such a strong connection to Ireland, and I'm not surprised that so many people do. It's so powerfully mystical. The sacred energy there is so powerful, but the energies and the casual mysticism there of the people, it is phenomenal. It's the thing is, when you travel, and you're a Sag, 7 planets in Sag, me 2 planets in Sag, I love to travel. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that's always affirmed, is that universal humanity that we have, these ways in which these gods and goddesses or saints, however you understand it, they have a way of showing up the way that a culture or a history or a people need it to show up, or need them to show up.
And like I've had statues of the Black Madonna, who I've had these statues for probably 30 years. Mm-hmm. But because I'm me, I just grabbed them and I was like, I like her. She's mine now. And then I just found out a few years ago that she's Polish. And I was like, oh, what the So I've literally had my own ancestry. I've literally been lighting candles for the Black Madonna for ages, not knowing that we're from the same hood. I had no idea, because I was just like, I just really like her.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Yeah. The gods and the goddesses that call us, the saints that call us, the sacred energies that call us. And so in this class, you are teaching students how to tap into, you can consider them, I consider them also like sacred energies that are a part of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like the book Prayers to the Sky that I mentioned, it's about the planets, right? It's about cultivating an emotional relationship with the planets. But if you understand that as a part of you, it becomes that much easier to understand fortifying that emotional relationship.
Right.
And so in your course, you are encouraging people to understand these energies and to petition these energies, but also to understand themselves as magical.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to reach very far outside of yourself. The reason I wrote the book is I had a friend who was like, I don't want to take any classes about, old straight white men in rituals and all of this shit. And I was like, I just throw salt at things when I'm mad. So it's not that complicated, it really isn't. What it is if you consider the pentacle, and I have my little pentacle necklace right here that I wear all the time. And I actually, Tarot Elements was inspired by this guy because I saw it break apart and then come back together. And I wrote a different book about that. But this one, the pentacles job inside of it are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, right? But the energy around it is held by a circle, and that's your will, right? So essentially, the focus of a pentacle or a pentagram is to keep you grounded. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about, is how to keep your ass on the ground instead of up here. Because if you're going to do magic, you're doing it in this world, in your skin sack, in the common day. So you need to be here on the ground to perform that magic, unless you're doing higher rites or talking to ancestors, which I don't do, because once they know you can hear them, they don't shut up. So we're going to start basics, be in the skin you're in when you do magic, and then we're going to talk about magical helpers. Do you really have to burn candles? No, but it's helpful. Do you have to burn incense? No. Do you have to do a money spell using a $35 candle that you got on Etsy? Please fucking don't do that. That's the opposite of money spell. That's
wow, yeah.
So go down to like a bodega or a fucking mercado and pick up a 7-day candle or Santa de Guadalupe candle or whatever speaks to you, and write on it with a Sharpie what you want to happen. And that's as good as that $35 candle for $3. You know what I'm saying? Like, magic is not out of your reach. You cannot be too poor, too black, too brown, too anything to have magic, because it's inherent with who you are. And all I'm going to teach you is how to put it within that ring of intent, that circle, so that you can focus it forward, and it's going to be good. It's good for people. The reason that witchcraft has been beaten down in so many cultures is because strong women are feared. And the thing that Hannah Gadsby said this line in one of her 2 specials, and it was, would you dare come against me? Because I am a grown woman. I am a woman in my prime. And there is nothing stronger than a woman who has been broken that put herself back together. And that fear of a whole woman is what started the witch hunts, because they were competing. They started having medical schools, and doctors were losing money to the lady around the corner who lived in a hut and was a midwife and knew all about the herbs and all of the magics, and that started the Eastern witch hunts. And in other places, like my ancestor was killed in the last Polish witch hunt in the 1890s, if you can imagine. That's not that long ago. Because it was a traveling, band of witch hunters, and they came into her village and killed her in front of her 5 children because crows flew around her chimney and because she didn't go to church. That's why she died. And so the fact that I in this day and age was able to publish a name dedicated to her, I feel it is closing a generational circle for me, because they stole the rest of her life. And now I'm standing proud and safe and saying, I'm a witch too, Grandma, even if she wasn't, even if she was just a smart woman who knew things, she created enough fear that they killed her, and I take a lot of pride in being a smart woman who can teach people things, and ain't nobody gonna stop me. So yeah.
Oh, time. Yes. I agree. You are a very smart person. You are an amazing teacher. I remember sitting in on your classes and watching you, and you were just so brilliant and easy. And you have that flow thing that I love to get into, right? I know when I'm doing a good job when I'm like in the flow, but I'm not like overthinking.
Yeah, and I'm like, what time is it?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, my students know, like for me, classes are always scheduled for 90 minutes, and that's what we tell teachers, our other teachers at synchronicity universities. But my students know my classes, we will go to 3 hours. I will pause to tell a personal story. Like, and sometimes I've said stories and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I shared that. But it's all part of that
it
flow
felt
of
right
teaching.
at the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
It felt correct. It's about connectivity. I find that all of spirituality, and this is my opinion, I'll probably piss some people off, but that's what Melissa do. But I find that all spirituality, I think, is really connectivity is what we're looking for. Whether it's connectivity between our community, another person, a deity, the universe, the deepest resources that our brain hasn't found yet. Whatever it is, like my soulmate is sleeping right next to me. It's my 13-year-old dog, Libby, right? She's part of my magic. She's with me every time I do readings. She doesn't leave my side. And so my magic, because you don't have a Libby, is entirely different than your magic, which is entirely different from everybody else's magic, right? So it's this connectivity between you use the tools that you have to reach out into the universe and connect or energies that you need. So if you need a job, you get a business card from the person that you interviewed with and you write your information on the back of it. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to make more money than I ever have before. And they're going to treat me like family. You stick it under a candle and that's magic. You light your candle and you let the universe hear what you said and also apply for the fucking job. That helps. You know what I'm saying? Like, that generally helps, but like, it's not a complex thing because human beings, if you take us down to our center, we have the power to influence people. If you've ever walked into a room where two people were fighting and you felt that thick, charged, gross energy, magic is real. That energy was produced by two people whose anger clashed against each other and made the room thick. So if they can do that in anger, what can you do in joy, in love, in seriousness, in fear? All of these things are tools that you can focus your energy in that circle to open the way for you to change the direction of your life. It's powerful. I got goosebumps. So that must have been super true.
Yeah.
Look at that. Oh, crazy.
Yeah.
So,
isn't it incredible? It really is the energies we choose to align with. Of course, because I'm an astrologer, I'm thinking about it in that astrological context. And there are some symbols that say, at any given time, you'll have so much happening in the sky. And you can, on the one hand, say, okay, I am going to align with this particular energy. I'm going to magnify this particular energy. You help yourself so much. But then there's also symbols that say, this is a time to surrender. This is a time when there may be a mystery that you don't necessarily know that is, leading you somewhere really good. And it's important not to hold on too tight to what you think. And so I love that you talked about like the business card, like, have that business card, but also know there could be like, you don't even know, there could be an even better job out there for you.
It's so crazy that you said that. It's like you're psychic. Because Bo, who's my fellow, he's the energy management guy on our team. He said we gave a 1-card reading. We're raising money for something, and he gave a 1-card reading, and he told the person, I said, this job is not correct for you. And then he said, in 6 weeks you'll find another. And we like tag teamed the reading, and the person called me and she said, I now work for Instagram. I turned down the first job, and then Instagram called me out of the blue 6 weeks later, and I was like, that's my guy right there. So like, you're putting the energy. They will love me. They will be like family. They will do this. And the universe went, this one's not right for you. Mm-hmm. This one is. And you'll make more money and you'll feel like family and it will be flexible and you'll be able to take care of your kid. Like she got everything she needed in a different job because she put the energy out for this job and the universe went, I can do better than that. Mm-hmm. So I always think in order to get out of that kind of scarcity thinking, that poverty thoughts, right? It's a difficult thing to do because we become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And it's very difficult. I mean, I've been in poverty before. It sucks. And it's very hard to keep your chin up when you don't know if you're going to pay the bills. You're like lining up the bills and playing eeny, meeny, miny. Okay, we'll pay you this month and see how it rolls. And it's very disheartening, but it's that imagination. It's that strength of knowing that you deserve better but you have to like capital K, know it. And then you have to capital D, decide to change it. And you have to focus your intent in such a way that the universe can't help but hear you, you know? And if you believe in guides and angels and spirits and advisors and ancestors and shit, bring all those motherfuckers along and say, I need you guys to make this happen. And I made a joke. I got Snoop Dogg lighters because I love Snoop, and I've loved Snoop since Doggy Style came out in the 90s. And I know all the word. And I got these letters, and I was like, and then the next day I found out he was coming to St. Louis to my home. And in front of a friend, I said, I have never seen him in concert. That would be amazing. And they bought me tickets to see Snoop. And it was just happenstance. So in 4 wake ups, I get to go see hoop Snoop, what? And it's going to be awesome. And I think I manifested it. I'm like 99% sure that I did by accidentally having a conversation about my dumb lighters in front of a friend who was feeling terribly generous and very kind. And now I get to go with one of my oldest friends and spend the whole day, rolling down the streets, smoking. So yeah, it's going to be amazing, but I put the energy out there. I would love to see him. That would make me so happy. And the universe went, okay. And that's not always going to happen because maybe you're not supposed to see Snoop. Maybe you're too young, or maybe it's not your thing. But if you throw the energy out there, usually the universe is waiting to shower you with blessings. You just got to get the words right because they're called spells for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible how these things come together like in perfect time, right? It can really be mind-blowing sometimes, but also this balance between sometimes there's this vision that you have and you don't expect it, and this incredible thing happens, and then sometimes like you thought about it years ago and you put it out there, and then at the perfect time it shows up. Like, no energy is ever wasted. No action ever goes to waste. Like any intention you put out there, and that surrender, I think it has to do with like that trust in whether it's life or the universe or the divine or your ancestors or however you understand it. That trust can be such a powerful thing in knowing that things come together at the perfect time and as they're supposed to. That sometimes there's an incredible vision. And for you right now, that vision includes Snoop Doggy Dogg. I love it.
Yeah. It's going to be amazing. So I think that the most important part of magic is, first of all, don't spell it with K, because that's magic. Terry Pratchett would tell you that. It has a lot of occult jewelry involved, but it's folk magic. It's folk. This is women and indigenous people's work. It will be found in the back room of museums. You know what I mean? It's not the Order of the Golden Dawn. This is women and brown folks mostly protecting their family. And if you think about it as something that as simple as sweeping the floor to make your house clean, you can do that with your energy. You can clear a space for yourself around your house to protect you. You can send your thoughts and your protections to a friend if they're not near you. There are so many things you can do that are as simple as sweeping a floor to get rid of some of the worries that you have, because this is inherent. No one can take this from you, and what you choose to do with it. If you choose to join the Order of the Golden Dawn or whatever, by all means. But a lot of folks do see that path as the only way to magic. And that's a bunch of bullshit. I don't think so. I don't think so. Not when it's been relegated to indigenous folks and women, and y'all weren't good enough for that before. We're not doing that now. We're not going to assign our glory to people who stole shit from other people. I crafted the classes, all 5 of them, to do kind of an arc. So we're going to do, we're going to end it, our beginning and end it on how do I do this, essentially. Like, how do I get in the space to do it? And then how do I carry it forward? And then we're going to talk about like protection and blessing and broken hearts and like closing circles, of friendships that have expired and they're past the expiration date. And what do you do? Like, it's all sorts of practical. One of my favorite books is Practical Magic. So it's all sorts of practical stuff, by Alice Hoffman. And so I wanted to keep it as day-to-day magic as possible, because I think that that's where it's the most valuable. Like when you stir your tea, some people in some cultures believe you have to stir it to the right and like 3 times to make sure that the wishes are going in the right direction and you make a wish. And if you want to undo something, you stir it this way. So if you're looking to undo a relationship with somebody, maybe you stir their teeth to the left and then hand them the cup, and that starts an unwinding, right? So every little action that you do, if you choose to imbue it with meaning, has meaning. So I would tie my kid's shoe in the morning and I would double knot and I would say, I love you and you are safe. And that's how I would tie their shoes in my head. I love you and you are safe every day. And then Robert started wearing like Velcro shoes and I just thought it's just hard. But the little knots that you tie and the prayers that you make, I was raised Catholic. I still cross myself when I see an ambulance or a cemetery, because even though I don't pray to Jesus directly anymore, he's not my homeboy. Like I like him, but we don't have beef, but I'm not a Christian anymore. But I still feel that gesture is so sacred and so holy to so many that some God is listening to me and will take the prayer for whoever got in the accident or, whoever was just laid to rest. I know that that's true. So that's what I'm comfortable with. And that's what I do. What is it? Hat, belt, wallet, and keys, or wallet and watch. Is that I always forget the order it goes. But just because it's no longer a religious symbol for me doesn't mean it isn't sacred. And it makes me feel comfort because my whole family, as far back as, as the witch who died, has been Catholic. And for my whole family, that means something. So when I make the sign of the cross, it is a prayer because I'm reflecting my ancestors' wishes and I'm reflecting the energy of my ancestors. And that has a lot of power in it too. That's why I like vampires, right? What are they warded off by? A symbol of faith. It's not necessarily a cross. It could be a Star of David. It could be a pentacle. It could be a copy of a sheriff's badge, like in that movie, but it's a symbol that they believe in. And that faith, regardless of what it is what makes magic work. That's the circle that binds us,
Wow. It's so powerful. And I think magical practice, I think about my own journey and how learning about magical practice, how much it awakened something within me, like how it really helped me to, to use the phrase, come into my own, like to really embody myself. And you were talking earlier about women and their power. And I was thinking about how there is something very powerful about a person who has come into their own understanding, their own power, their own acceptance. There's an ease with which you end up allowing so many wonderful things into your life, but also it's the embodiment of it that's a very powerful thing. And so the fact that now you're continuing to help the awareness of this in other people, including at Synchronicity University, I'm just so happy about that.
I'm delighted. I love your people. It was such a fun class to teach. And like, I think at the end of everyone, I'm like, oh shit, am I over? Okay, screw it. Anyway. Yeah, she did go on. But I think it's going to be really fun. And I think that this is a time, especially so many things are uncertain in the world, that sometimes the best thing to do is focus on yourself so you can't be knocked over as easily. And then let that energy spread out. Maybe it'll only spread to your immediate family. Or maybe like me, it'll spread to whoever is on my platform when I'm raising money for folks who need it, or putting words up that are for somebody every day. Every day I post something and one person will write and say, I think you wrote that for me. And I'm like, well, then I did. I wrote that for you, But that's the way that I can communicate, and that's the way that I can get out. But I don't have the strength or energy to watch the news. It just wears me out. So I'm taking care of what I can take care of. And then I'm praying for those who take care of the rest of it, And I think that that's part of that maturation and that coming into yourself, as you say, where you recognize what you can control and what you can't. And I can control this little community that I've created. I can make changes there. I can help influence. I can help people have a better day. I can cheer them up or make them laugh by posting something stupid, which I constantly do. And but of the larger global things, I can send my energy and intent. That's what I can do. And I stopped beating myself up for not doing more.
Well, you do post silly things, but you post a lot of wise things too. So I love following you online. And
thank you, sweetheart.
It's so obvious how loving you are, like with your online posts. So you're fierce and you're badass and you're loving and you're amazing. And I just love you so much.
I love you so much too. You're amazing. Thank you for letting me teach at your university again. It's delightful. And I honestly, connecting with new students is like my favorite thing. And I'm like, when I start a class, I'm just like, my team and I were talking about, because we made a joke in we have a new website, and I made a joke that I should be listed as the talent, and because I can't organize stuff, I don't do math, I'm terrible with calendars, like all of that shit. But what I'm really good at, put a fucking camera and a mic in my hand, I can talk for days. I want to see that light of realization that, oh my God, she's talking about me. I live for that. I live for it. So yeah, the talent. It's the douchies. Yeah. They're doing it too. I said it as a joke and they were fucking doing it. I'm like, whatever. I don't care. You're all fired. So.
But no, their jobs are secure. Don't you worry, anybody out there who's on my team or your team. But yeah, it is. It's incredible how the people we need have a way of showing up, and they have a way of finding themselves.
I don't know how I got so lucky. Actually, I do. I worked really hard and I asked the universe for help. That's how I got so lucky. I sent it out, and I actually wrote a letter, and I said, I need help. I know that I have more to do and I can't do it by myself. And then I found Bo, and then he bribed me with cheese and became a part of my life, which cheese works, by the way, if you're ever looking for a way. And then we found Amanda, and then John found us. And now all four of us are making this a thing, and our company is doing this bit. And it's because I asked the universe, please help me. I can't do this by myself. And I had to get out of the way of my ego, which is substantial, and say, I cannot do it by myself. And the universe is like, about time, bitch. We've been telling you for years. And they sent them right away. So yeah. Yep.
Oh, it's so exciting. Yeah. The universe has a way of sending us people, places, things, situations, whatever it is that we may need at a given moment. Actually, between you and me, this is a wonderful reminder, like for me and you right now, but also I'm sure for the people watching this, like to remember that whomever may be in your life, whatever circumstance, there's something about it, I believe. There's something about it that you can use, even stuff that's really painful and really difficult. Yeah. There's a way in which it could be part of your path towards what I like to call greater love and greater wisdom. Yeah. Some people call it magic. Some people call it the divine. Some people call it God. But there's something about your intent to choose to see how this could be a part of a greater mystery as part of your highest unfoldment that makes it more clear. That intention itself makes it more clear.
And sometimes, and I've met a few, sometimes people show up in your life as an example of who not to fucking be. Like, don't do that. Look what happened to them. And then they go, zip. And you go, okay, that could have easily been me, or I could have attached myself to that energy. But, usually your tummy is like, no. And then your brain goes, okay. And like, you've got to listen to your stomach. It's not your heart and it's not your brain. Intuition lives in your stomach. We all know it. And it's once you start ignoring your tummy, that's when you start getting into shit. So, my tummy is easily anesthetized with tequila and marijuana. So I try to lay off with those if I have decisions to make. I'm like, never mind. This sounds like a great idea. Intuition. Shh. And then my brain is like this. Oh, for God's sakes. So yeah, that's what my guardian angels look like a lot. They're just like, oh, there she goes. Okay. All right, no, we got you. We're just real tired.
I know, right? I should think about that as well sometimes. But some decisions, man, they're fun. They are fun. They are. Like it's like, okay, this might not be a good idea. Okay, I kind of see what's going on here, but I'm going for it. I want to see what this. Yeah.
My husband says the fastest way to get me to do something is tell me not to do it, and I'm just like, did you just tell me what not to? Yeah. Yeah. So
I love it.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yes, I am needlessly rebellious as well.
I call it. I'm getting a tattoo because I read this quote somewhere and it's always been in my head, and it's "Be kind recklessly." And I just love the idea of it. And my husband said I could just shorten it to reckless. And I'm like, no, 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 hey, hold on. Maybe in my 20s, but I think I've earned the rest of the quote at 47. So.
Oh, yes. And, like, it's incredible how, regardless of these different, things and reckless or whatever, there's something very honest about a soul that is determined to listen to itself, that is determined to be itself. And so for the longest time, I sort of cursed being a rebel, or at least I shouldn't say being a rebel. I took pride in being a rebel, but the part of me that felt restless, that felt unsatisfied, that
this
felt
isn't good enough.
Yeah, that's it. And then once I embraced it, my goodness, the authenticity in so many different areas of life that was able to come forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a chain of dominoes. It's like a chain of dominoes. And it's like one of my dear friends quit her day job after she'd been there for 16 years. And like literally the next week got 2 book writing authors and is now a full-time tarot reader and author. Like the universe was just holding its breath, waiting for her to be ready. And as soon as she was ready, they're like, here, we've been waiting for you. Here are your gifts for being brave and wondrous and trusting us to catch you. That was lovely.
I love it. I want to close with a story, which is, I remember for so many years, I thought I was supposed to be in like nonprofit sector management. And I remember being in a job for a few years, and it was awful. Like my boss, I can have a lot of compassion for her now because of what was happening in her chart and in her life. But boy, was that brutal. I mean, that was really brutal. And it really triggered a lot of like really old stuff to come forward. And I guess I needed that healing. But what I remember is when I decided to have my own thing, right? My own business. Once I decided that I was going to figure out my own vision and I was going to see it through, there were so many moments when it was such a struggle. Like I've been a full-time astrologer and entrepreneur for almost 16 years. And the first 7 years, I lived below the poverty line in Canada. And you were saying earlier, poverty is hard. Yeah, poverty is hard. I've been there. I get it. And I know how many moments I would be there struggling and questioning and praying and, petitioning. And I would remember that experience and I would say, no, I am never going to put myself in a position. And it would just give me that much more determination. And now so many years later to see my life and to be able to travel whenever I want, to stay in beautiful places.
To be so proud of your accomplishments. Like, wonder it.
It means more because I know what it is to struggle. Like I have seen these incredible landscapes in my life and I've been like, it was worth it. It was all worth it. Yeah.
I had a corporate job that was so awful. I left and got a tattoo on my arm because I'm like, I will never be able to work corporate ever again if I am marked like this. And so I counted all of my mistakes and had them turn into butterflies. And so there's some really big ones up here. This one's name is Paul. But like
we've all got Pauls and more. Yeah.
So so we all we make a decision, right? And this is magic. I did magic on myself. I put it in my skin to keep myself out of places that were bad for me. Because if people don't like my tattoo, they can fuck right off and I'm fine with it. That's okay. That's just fine with me. But I had to put it in my skin so I wouldn't forget who I was. I needed a reminder of who I was. And so I got one for myself. And that's the kind of closing the circle of magic. Actually, the book I'm working on is called Kitchen Table Circle. So that's why it keeps coming back to this, is because, we have all of these half-closed circles of people who have died or left us, or tasks that we didn't finish, or, commitments that we made to ourselves that we haven't achieved yet. And closing that circle and putting an end to that longing or that exposed nerve is so healing, So this for me was very healing because it was my decision that I'm not going back in that corporate cage. I'm never doing it again. It's for some people, sure as fuck is not for me. And I won't be in a place where I'm taken lightly because of how I decorate my own body, And ever since I made that decision, my shoulders a little further back, tits out, chin up, you know what I'm saying? I believe in myself more because I had the courage to take myself out of a negative place. and it just builds on itself. So the baby steps that we're starting at the beginning of the magic class versus the life-changing things that we're going to work through, everyone who takes this class, and I'm not one of those people who's like, I swear to you, I could change your life in 5 easy classes. But you're going to fucking feel better, and you're going to have your shoulders a little further back, and your chin's going to be up. And whether or not you have tits up is up to you.
Yeah.
Yes, some people are cool with it. But
and, you might be aware of this or not, but you're actually going to be teaching your class the first part of it during eclipse season. And astrologically, eclipse season is when the veils between the worlds are especially thin. And you're able to recognize the spiritual lessons playing out, the wisdom of the ancestors becomes that much more obvious. So I think it's pretty incredible that without necessarily intending to, we ended up with the start date of this course being in eclipse season. What a profound thing. Yeah.
You know that I'm terrible at space math. So obviously it was not intentional. And I think I got really sick and we had to move it back by a month or something like that. But I'm feeling better. It's been 3 weeks, 2 weeks of feeling better, and I'm going to continue feeling better. I've decided. It's going to be great. Yeah. I have so much to
give. Yeah, you have so much to give.
I got time. I got time, and I'm going to use it. So it's always a gift to work with you too.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I love you.
Oh.
Thank you, everybody out there. Remember, you can learn from Melissa Cynova, Kitchen Table Magic. Best-selling author, for as low as just $5 a class with Choose Your Tuition Rate. For just a few days left until the end of April, if you sign up for her class, you can actually choose your tuition rate. This caliber of learning at that rate is pretty much unheard of. But, it is the generosity of Melissa Cynova, other teachers who come to Synchronicity University that make quality classes so accessible. And as you saw here, Melissa knows she knows her niche. She knows her stuff, right? She is really incredible and one of the best out there. And Melissa, I just love you. You
made me actually blush on video. Did you see what you did to my face, Nadiya?
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at your face now, yeah. I adore
my
you.
stars. Oh my God, I love you right back. All right. Well, I hope you have time to sit in on some of the classes because they're going to be cool as fuck. And hey, new students, let's be best friends and learn some shit. You want to?
Yes. Yes, come learn some stuff. Yes, at synchronicityuniversity.com. Well, thank you again, Melissa. And thank you, everybody out there. We hope to see you in Melissa's class and more. And until we connect again, take care. Bye.
Bye.